state that building department, which means.
Welcome, everybody. The time is now 7 p.m. and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were
Aaron Smith,
David Buttery,
Suzanne LeClaire,
John Schaefer, Noel Sawyer,
Phil Mella,
Ken Matthews.
Bob Carlson.
Carol Harvey.
Thank you. If any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I ask that you state your concerns now. Okay, hearing none, the next agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you all stand and join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we will welcome Barbara Berger from Teller Senior Coalition for an update. Welcome, young lady.
Thank you.
You just give us your name and your address before you start. That'd be great. For the record.
My name is Barbara Berger, and I'm with the Teller Senior Coalition. And the address of the coalition? Okay.
Your home address would be great.
1175 Karen Lane, Woodland Park, Colorado, 80863. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to give you an update on the Teller Senior Coalition. On October 16th, just a little ways away, I will have been at the coalition for 2 years. And with the help of an absolutely fantastic staff and board of directors, we have done some wonderful things that I want to share with you. Our mission statement is to enrich the quality of lives for Teller Senior Coalition, Teller County residents. And what we're all about is to help people so that they can age in place, stay in their homes for as long as they want to. And we also have this tagline that says, services not just for seniors since 1996. The coalition all along has provided services for seniors, but not just seniors, for people that are disabled and for people that fall below the poverty level. Okay, let me go ahead and...
Sally, I think you may need to help her with the presentation format.
Yes. Yeah, that's what they were having problems with as far as getting it to... Okay, there it is. So out of the 23,000 residents of Teller County, I missed that. That's all right. Know that one by heart. We serve, if you look at the demographics, there's about 3,000 people that are 65 and older. We get about 60% of our funding through the Pikes Peak Area Council on Aging, which is Title III funding. And their definition of a senior is 60 and older. So we really serve approximately, or our client base is about 5,000 people. Of that, we have a certain number that are, that are disabled, and also
I think Jessica's going to help you. It appears that your presentation has an automatic forwarding in the presentation format, so we'll try to let you walk it through one at a time.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so back to this slide. These are the demographics from 2014. 65 and older. As I said, it's really 60 for us, which is about 5,000 residents. There are about 2,000 that are disabled. Some of those fall into that 5,000 resident number. And of course, below the poverty level, we're looking at 1,600 people. Our statistics are actually very impressive to me. It's amazing what we're doing. If you look at from January through August, we gave 2,800 rides. This is a pickup and drop-off. We traveled 39,000 miles. And if you look at the numbers for 2014, you can see where we stand. We're already, for mileage, 112% over our goal. For transportation is 76%. Golden Circle meals ensure that we provide our rural area meal, which means that once a week we deliver 7 frozen meal plus shelf-stable items to people throughout Teller County. We delivered so far through August 4,800 packages or meals, and we plan on doing about 7,000 for the whole entire year. The other biggie is a caregiver respite program. This is for people that are caregivers for people with Alzheimer's. We provide respite folks to go in there and give them a break. And these people are, we do fingerprint checks, we do background checks. If a family opts to send their loved one to, for example, Daybreak, the adult daycare, we also help subsidize that too. Isolation and loneliness. There's an organization called the Innovations on Aging, and going to their presentation, and they did a very, very extensive study. And I asked the question about Teller County, and of course, they talk about all of these things, intergenerational, transportation. What is the biggest bang for the buck for helping seniors? And basically, Tucker Adams said it's the isolation and loneliness. And there are a lot of studies out there that are showing what isolation and loneliness is as bad for the person's health as smoking and drinking. There's a 26% greater risk of premature death. And being socially isolated increases the risk of an early death by 30%. And so it was kind of like, this is very interesting. It's kind of like a different spin on things. So what can we do? We started as of actually 2 weeks prior. We did 2 Wednesdays in a row where our driver, Jerry Coulter, who's been driving for the coalition for 16 years, when I first started there, he kept saying, let me cook, let me cook, let me cook. He says, I want to go back to cooking. So we went back and forth about it, and so we decided to go ahead and start a community cafe, which started on Monday. And already we have fed 127 people. Normally on Mondays, the first part here is that the Golden Circle meal attendance has continued to decline. Usually on Mondays we'd have 3 or 4 people. We'd have drivers go down to Manitou Springs, pick up the meals, bring them up here, and then the kitchen attendants would just reheat it. I must admit I had a tough time eating it, eating the food. And so basically it was the discussion about what do we do? Good food would bring people in, etc. The Golden Circle food is federally regulated, even though Golden Circle meals, so we will be celebrating the 20th anniversary next year of the Teller Senior Coalition. And Teller County actually started serving Golden Circle meals, I think 8 or 10 years before that. There were hidden costs in there. So we decided that if we did some appetizing meals, people, you walked in the door and they smelled good food. And so far, it has been absolutely amazing. We're also getting donations from people so that we can keep doing this. The idea is not to make any kind of a profit, make it so that it's self-sustaining. And then also trying to get people who are living off the grid and to bring them in for lunch. So this is the community cafe. It's open Monday through Friday, except for holidays, at the senior club. Right? Okay, that way. My sense of direction here. We asked for reservations. Seniors 60 and older, it's $2.25. Lunch for anyone else coming in is $5. If you don't have a reservation, you come in. We ask that you wait till everybody is served before you go ahead and we serve you. The other thing that we have done is we kind of teamed up with the city of Cripple Creek as far as transportation goes. On Wednesday, Cripple Creek brings a bus down and drops people off at the senior club. And then our bus, and if you notice it, it's parked next to the senior club, will take people around 4 times to drop them off at the hospital, at City Market, and we're trying to do this fixed bus route. Cripple Creek only comes down on Wednesdays. We're also doing this twice a week, and it's to provide a means for people to get out of their house and go grocery shopping and, just be able to get out of the house. If you want more information, please go to our website. And once again, we could not provide these services without our wonderful staff, volunteers, board of directors, and without all of our supporters, funders, and donors. And especially without my assistant executive director, Paula Duger, who's going to bring up some envelopes and pass them out to you. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions?
I think what you said about loneliness is very important. I've got a neighbor, not next to me, but like in the next block over, who is in her late 80s. And I've always been concerned about whether or not she has anybody that knows she's alive in the morning.
Yes.
Or that, will come and visit her or whatever. Do you go out to every senior member of the population to make sure they have a plan in place, that they have a contact, that sort of thing?
We don't have the staff to do that, but a phone call to us, to our case manager, Lainey Stevenson, will help, put all those things in place for her. And there are just lots and lots of people out there, but if they do the first, or somebody, or, like you said.
Like a neighbor saying, hey, I think maybe.
Yeah, and just calls us and gives us the name and phone number. We'll follow up.
What's your phone number?
687-3330.
Anybody else? Barbara, thanks for all you do, and thanks for being here tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Matt? Okay, before we move on, Suzanne?
Thank you, Mayor Levy. This night, we would like to just celebrate and congratulate Jessica Memmer, our Deputy City Clerk, who is in the back and filming this City Council meeting for everybody to view, on fulfilling all of her requirements of the Certified Municipal Clerk Program, which we call CMC. She's earned her designation now as a CMC, which is a Certified Municipal Clerk, and she's attended 3 years of school. 2 years she went to CU Boulder, and 1 year she attended Regis University. It's a very intense program that she was in. She's obtained the designation, and this designation declares that Jessica is proficient in her position and has demonstrated the mastery of administration skills critical to good government. So I'd like everyone to congratulate Jessica, and we are proud to have her here at the city as our Deputy City Clerk.
Thank you, Suzanne, and thank you, Jessica. I'll reiterate, the gal that's always got a smile on her face and does anything that anybody asks her to do, and just the kind of person you love working beside. So thanks for everything you do for us, Jessica. We really appreciate it. Okay, we will move on to number 5. I don't believe there's any additions, deletions, or corrections. So we'll move to the consent calendar. Suzanne.
Thank you, Mayor Levy. This evening, we have one item on the consent calendar, and that is the minutes from the August 20th, 2015 regular council meeting.
Council? Any concerns? Okay, if not, we'll look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you.
Second.
Suzanne?
Thank you. Carlson?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Levy?
Yes?
Matthews?
Yes.
Mella?
Yes.
Sawyer?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Suzanne. We'll move right along. No unfinished business tonight. So we'll move on to item number 8 on your agenda, and ordinances on initial posting, and considering ordinance number 1249. And Laura Pellegrino, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Levy. This is a very straightforward request to vacate a 20-foot utility and drainage easement between 2 lots. This ordinance is before you on first reading tonight, and we are also requesting that it be set for public hearing in front of this council for September 17th, 2015.
Any questions, council? Just on initial posting tonight. Okay, if not, we'll call for a motion to consider ordinance number 1249.
Move to approve 1249 and set the public hearing for September 17th, 2015.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Harvey?
Yes.
Levy?
Yes?
Matthews?
Yes.
Mella?
Yes.
Sawyer?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thanks, Suzanne. We'll move on to 8B and considering ordinance number 1250, and Mr. Brian Fleer, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Levy and council. Again, pretty straightforward ordinance on initial posting for ordinance number 1244. I, as the DDA director, recommend approval of the easement agreement ordinance on initial posting.
1250.
1250. Thank you. Of the easement agreement and ordinance on initial posting, and for City Council to schedule a public hearing for final approval and consideration on September 17, 2015.
Sounds good. Any questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Call for motion for ordinance 1250 on initial posting.
I move to consider ordinance for number 1250 on initial posting and set a public hearing for September 17th, 2015.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Noel. Suzanne?
Levy?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Mella?
Yes.
Sawyer?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Harvey? Yep. Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, we'll move on to public hearings and number 9A, Aaron Smith.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we are asking that ordinance 1244 be tabled to October 1st. And the reason for and the background and part of what prompted this is that in connection with the accompanying Resolution 796, which contains the administrative regulations for work in the right-of-way, which accompanies this ordinance, the City Council did receive a letter from a Ms. Terry Scott, who's an attorney at Sherman & Howard, who did provide some constructive comments on the administrative regulations. So it would be our request that Council table this and also delete Resolution 796 from the agenda when you get to that. And what we are suggesting in the way of response is to address these comments and then to produce a revised set of administrative regulations. We would post that on the city's website. We would invite comments with a deadline to have those comments in, and we would also then be bringing the administrative regulations back to council in the form of an ordinance. So council would see it on first reading, and public could be here for that, although you would hold the public hearing later. We would estimate that we would be ready to hold that public hearing on October 1st. So there would be, two additional opportunities for the public to comment on that. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, but again, I'm recommending tabling this ordinance.
Do we need a motion to table?
Yes, please.
Prior to the time, if there's no questions here, any comment, we're in public comment right now, just on tabling this motion to October 1st. Okay, if not, then we'll call for a motion to table to October 1st, ordinance number 1244.
Thank you.
I would make that motion, table ordinance number 1244 as presented to October 1st.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, John. Suzanne?
Matthews.
Yes.
Mello.
Yes.
Sawyer.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Harvey. Yes. Levy.
Yes.
Thanks. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Suzanne. Okay, we move on to 9B, and Sally Riley is ready to go, approving ordinance number 1245.
Thank you very much, Mayor Levy, council members. Ordinance 1245 is to amend Title 15 by adopting the amendments to the Pikes Peak Regional Building Code, Edition 2011. And within that adoption, we're also adopting the most recent plumbing code, electrical code, and the elevator code. So I would like, though, to begin by having from Pikes Peak Regional Building Department, first Roger Lovell, who is newly appointed to the head building official position, and Jay Inhouse, who is the deputy building official, and they are the experts on the code and are able to answer any questions for you. There are just minor tweaks to Pikes Peak Regional's Buildings Code. They are actually less restrictive type things that are being changed, primarily permits not being required. For example, sheds for residential areas that are not greater than 200 square feet. Before it was 120 square feet. Now you can build a shed in your backyard without having a building permit that's 200 square feet. For a commercial area, there's still a requirement for a shed or an accessory structure if it's greater than 120 square feet. Before, you had to have a building permit no matter what size it was. Fences now can go up to 7 feet without a building permit. Before, it was 6 feet. Decks that are just small 200 square foot decks that are detached and not very high off the ground, 30 inches off the ground, and do not serve as a required ingress-egress, does not need a permit. If you're doing roof repairs and it's less than 100 square feet, then a permit is not needed. So those are some of the few examples of making the code a little less restrictive and letting folks go ahead and build smaller items. Again, the plumbing code, the electrical code, as well as the elevator and escalator code is now in line with the state code, and our Board of Review did review this very detailed last June and recommended approval of Ordinance 1245. The City Attorney, as well as Pikes Pikes Peak Regional Building Department's attorney has reviewed the material, and we're happy to answer any questions and recommend approval after public comment.
Thank you, Sally. Questions, Bob?
One of my other onerous duties is being head of the Architectural Control Committee for our homeowners association. And we had a recent request to expand the front porch. Okay, is the front porch similar to a deck as far as the code is concerned? Can they have just an unlimited area where the 200 square feet fit in here?
Yeah. No, a porch, because it has a roof structure to it and is more of a structural system, would require a building permit, as well as a zoning development permit.
Okay. My second question, when I was building Habitat homes, the Teller County rule for footing depth for, below the frost line was 30 inches, whereas the Springs was 36 inches. I thought our climate up here was much worse, colder than the Springs. Has that been adjusted?
Good evening, Roger Lovell with Pikes Peak Regional Building. Well, I've been with the building department for 13 years, and the 13 years that I've been there, it's been 30 inches in El Paso County, in Colorado Springs. Yeah.
Okay.
And traditionally, Teller County has worked off of our amendments as well.
But that doesn't need adjusting then for
No,
our temperature?
that remains at 30 inches.
Up
Yeah,
here.
that's not part of this change. These changes are really pretty minor. They're down the hill, they're a little bit farther reaching. There's some changes to some of our technical boards and committees which aren't effective up here. The state plumbing code, electrical code, and elevator codes, those are all adopted at a state of Colorado level, and then by state statute, local jurisdictions have within 12 months to come into compliance with those codes.
Okay.
What we always try and do is hold off to that very last 12 months because there's always some things that need to get worked through with those codes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, John.
Are all the codes distinguished by a year?
Yes. The international codes are all, the international codes, the International Building Code, Residential Code, Mechanical, Plumbing, and whatnot are basically revised every 3 years. Locally, we try and go on a 6-year adoption schedule, adopt every other one. The electrical code's on a little bit different cycle.
So what year IBC should we be using?
We are on the 2009 International Building Code. And these are some changes to the to the 2009 International Code, but some of the permit exemptions, where these concepts all came from, they all came out of the 2015 codes. So we're pulling some information in from newer codes right now to amend our local codes. The next step in the process would be review and adoption of the 2015 codes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Council, no. If not, we're on public hearing. Any questions from anyone in the audience this evening or comment? Okay. Jay, you have a piece of paper in your hand. You have anything to add?
That's the agenda.
It's the agenda. Thanks for bringing the agenda with you. Okay, thank you all very much. No more questions. We'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 1245.
Move to approve ordinance number 1245, Title 15.
Thank you. Second? Yes. Suzanne?
Mella?
Yes.
Sawyer?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Levy?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you very much. Okay, before we move on to item number 9C, I'll read the following. Council members use electronic devices to access the materials relevant to the public hearing before us. Be assured that it is common practice of this city council that these devices are not being used for texting, emailing, or other communications during public hearings. That said, we're going to move on to number 9C and approving ordinance number 1248. Laura? Welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor Levy and members of council. My name is Laura Pellegrino. I am the city planner. This is an application for the Woodland Park Community Church. It's application number CUP 15-004. The Woodland Park Community Church representative is here tonight. Mr. Jackson Peters is in the audience and will be coming up to speak and answer any questions if you have any on the application itself. It is located at unit number 4, 700 Valley View Drive in Woodland Park. It is located on Lot 4, Jamestown Square. It is an application for a temporary emergency shelter in the existing basement of the office building. The lot area of this particular unit is 0.03 acres, approximately 1,307 square feet. That's the building only. The floor space of this 1,300 square foot building, of the 1,300 square feet, 713 square feet will be residential. That will be the lodging component that the CUP addresses today. And the remaining 594 square feet will stay office. And essentially that's the upstairs and the downstairs. That's the difference between upstairs and downstairs. It is in the community commercial district, the CC zone district here in Woodland Park. Its existing use right now is office use. The basement is used as a meeting space as well as for storage for the office use. The proposed use is a conditional use pursuant to section 18.09.090I2, which is a conditional use for lodging use with less than 20 or less rooms. So far, we have gone through Planning Commission approval on August 13th. They did recommend approval of the application following staff's recommendation with the conditions, which recommendation and conditions are forwarded and submitted as part of the ordinance that is before you tonight. Council's first reading, the initial reading on this ordinance was on August 20th, and tonight we are here for the second reading and public hearing of the ordinance. The site is in the northern part of the city of Woodland Park. It's shown by this blue dot, immediately east of Highway 67. And that's the general location. This is a more specific location. It shows you some of the uses around and in the neighborhood. So the site that we are looking at is shown by this red dot where my cursor is sitting. It is 700 Valley View Drive. Just immediately to the south is Valley View Drive right here. And the access into the site is off of a driveway that comes right off of Valley View Drive. Immediately to the east is the Woodland Park Community Church, this building right here, and these grounds are all part of the Woodland Park Community Church, as is the site that the office building sits in. And the office building is used by the Woodland Park Community Church for various different functions, and they also lease out the space within this office building. One of the tenants is Habitat for Humanity, for instance. They also have some vacant space that they are looking for tenants within. Immediately to the west of Highway 67 is the O'Keefe Ceramic Industrial Area and Shop. Immediately north of that is the Tamarack Center. The Teller County offices are in here. And immediately north of that is the post office and the police station. So those are some of the land uses immediately surrounding the area and some of the topography and the landscaping that you can see based on this air photo. This map shows a general layout showing the distances to the nearest residences. So the nearest residence is these residences to the north. These residences are in Teller County, within the Teller County jurisdiction. The boundary for the city of Woodland Park and Teller County is pretty much this boundary right here, that line right there. But immediately east, west, and south is all within this jurisdiction of the city of Woodland Park. So the nearest residences, again, are in Teller County, and approximately 240 feet to the north, nearest residences in Woodland Park are immediately to the south, approximately 300 feet, 350 feet on both sides. These residences down here. This map is a general map showing the zoning in the area. The area circled in red is the site that we are looking at, which is the CC zone district, community commercial, and it is shown in this kind of hot pink. Immediately to the east is the suburban residential single-family district zone district. And again, you can see it's characterized by typical single-family lots. Immediately to the east and south is the multifamily urban zone district, which is a higher density family residential zone district. And then immediately on the other side of the highway is the PUD zone district, the industrial zone district, and the service commercial zone district to the north of that. Again, there's the boundary for Teller County and the city of Woodland Park, as is this boundary right here. So it's kind of an odd-shaped area, but the area within and totally surrounding the site is within the jurisdiction of the city of Woodland Park. This is a front elevation that I pulled from the assessor's database. It shows the entire office complex, those 4 condominium units, which are office units. The unit that this proposed shelter will go in is the furthest to the west, this unit right here. And again, the temporary shelter is proposed to be located in the basement, so we don't even see it from this view, from this elevation. This is the front parking lot, and this picture was taken from the entrance off of Valley View Drive, looking into this office complex. To get to the entrance to the shelter, you would have to go around the building and to the back, and there is access, both vehicular and pedestrian, to go on both sides of the building to get to the back. These are some more recent drawings of the site. Again, this is a summer shot of the office complex with some of the trees in full bloom. The office complex that we are interested in, the unit is this one right here at the far end. Again, there will be no changes to the exterior of this unit, either front or back. This is the back entrance, so if you were to go around the building, you would have to go down these stairs, and this would be the entrance to the shelter. Again, there are no changes proposed by the applicant at this time. There may be some lighting, some security lighting, and a camera attached at this entrance, but other than that, there will be no indication that there is a shelter here, and no change to the architecture or to the site at all. This is a picture of the interior, what it looks like right now. It is used as a meeting space, so there is this meeting room, and it's just a room, is all it is. This is the site showing the odd shape of the lot, and again, the unit, the condominium office unit, is unit number 4, which is the westernmost unit. This shows the parking layout. There is ample parking for the proposed unit, as there is ample parking for the office complex as well. This is a floor plan showing the existing configuration of essentially one big open space, and that conference table was sitting in this direction at this end of the space. There are 2 windows. There's also an interior access with these stairs, and this is the rear access that I showed you a picture of a couple of slides back. This is the proposed layout of the shelter. What we're seeing here is essentially the same floor plan as we saw in this one here. They are proposing to expand it a little bit by adding some washroom facilities back in this area, so they'll take some of this storage space out and add some walls and some restrooms. They are also looking at inserting six sleeping spaces. So this would be a double bed, this would be a trundle bed that you could pull out, and this could be a pull-out sofa. So there would be a maximum of 6 sleeping spaces in this unit. They've got a table, but they are not proposing a full kitchen suite. This will not be an apartment. They would have a hot plate perhaps, or a microwave oven, those types of facilities, maybe even a half refrigerator, but it will not be, it will in all essence be a motel room. It will not be an apartment long-term stay unit of any sort. So staff did receive the application. We did review it and analyze it for compliance with Section 1821, which is the CC zone district. Again, a lodging use, 20 units or less, is a conditional use in this zone district. And we also reviewed it with respect to compliance of the existing building and site regarding height of the building, the yard space, the frontage requirements, the parking requirements for all the uses, any fencing, signs, sidewalks, and landscaping. And the building as it currently exists, and the proposal for the temporary shelter all meet the current zone district requirements and limitations. We did send referrals of the application out to various agencies, both in-house in the city of Woodland Park and to exterior agencies. With respect to in-city agencies, we sent it out to the Utilities Director, the Public Works Director, the Police Department, the Economic Development Department, and to the Building Department. External agencies that received a referral included the Northeast Teller County Fire Protection District, IREA, Black Hills, Baja, CDOT, and CenturyLink. We did not receive any concerns with respect to these agency referrals. We did a poster notification on the site. We did a publication in the Pikes Peak Courier, and we did adjacent property owner notices to everyone within 150 feet of tonight's hearing. We received no written comments or concerns regarding this proposed application. The specific application is a conditional use permit for lodging use. There are 11 standards to allow a conditional use permit in the city of Woodland Park. These standards are listed here in brief. We have to show and demonstrate that there is a need for this proposed facility in the city of Woodland Park. Staff does believe there is a need. It would be the first facility of its kind in the city, and the fact that the applicant and other agencies in the city currently provide monetary and financial assistance to people that do need temporary shelters by giving them money and coupons to go to local hotels. There is a need, and the applicant in his application has described that he believes that they could probably fill this shelter 40 weeks out of the year. Staff believes that there is no impact to public health and welfare. It is a small scale, small scope, and there will be no exterior changes. Nobody will know it even exists. The applicant has an operational plan that is fairly detailed and considers all contingencies with respect to the occupants of this particular facility, and as well to providing all of their needs and to providing resources for them to help them move out after 7 days. Staff does not believe that there is any injury to property values, that the proposed shelter does harmonize with the existing site, with the existing neighborhood, and within the city of Woodland Park. Staff believes it complies with the city plan in terms of the zoning and the vision in the plan for many types of affordable housing and a variety of housing types, and the ability to suit the needs of the residents of the city of Woodland Park and to help them in all of their needs. Staff believes it complies with all the regulations, not only the zoning regulations, but any other regulations in terms of the supply of water, wastewater, and parking, landscaping, all of those requirements. There is a reduction in traffic by changing the office space to a single unit lodging use, so there is no impact to traffic at all. There's no change to drainage. There's no change or necessary improvements to either water, sewer, or wastewater infrastructure that already exists to the site. There are no perceivable or substantive hazards that will be created by the insertion of this temporary shelter. And staff does not believe that there's any architectural design requirements that are necessary or required with this application, and no impacts from what they are proposing. Staff does find substantial compliance with all of the standards, all of these 11 conditional use permit standards, and does recommend approval with 3 conditions. Staff does recommend approval of a lodging use per section 18.09.090 I2 and section 1857.040B of the City of Woodland Park Municipal Code, subject to the following conditions. 1, prior to operating the shelter, the occupant shall receive approval of a building department occupancy change, and that the occupancy change will address any changes to the internal layout of the building, if any remodels are required, if there's any replumbing that needs to be done, if there's anything that has to happen inside, that the change of occupancy will address that, as well as the building permit that they will have to get. Condition number 2, that the emergency shelter shall be occupied by no more than 1 family, 6 people at a time, or 1 individual at a time for no longer than 1 week, 7 nights at any given time, by the same individual or family group. Condition number 3, the emergency shelter shall not be offered to any person required to be in a jail, a correctional facility, a halfway home, or a medical treatment facility, a clinic, or an institutional home, nor shall the facility be offered to any persons addicted to illicit drugs, to the extent that the Woodland Park Community Church can identify that they are addicted to drugs. That is my presentation, Mayor. Are there any questions at this time?
I appreciate the information. Ken, would you like to start for us?
Well, I think I know the answer to this, but I'd like the answer to be public. Since you're changing it from meeting room and storage to overnight sleeping quarters, obviously it has to have the proper egress out of that lower level, proper size windows off the floor, all those things I know you know in the planning department, but I just want to make sure that that's carefully looked at, because that could easily be overlooked if it wasn't a sleeping quarters before.
Right, and it is feasible that all of those requirements can be met. They will go through a building permit process, and that's where we will check all of that.
Great, thank you.
Bill?
Thank you. The cameras that are going to be mounted, are those closed circuit, or will they monitor 24/7?
That's a really good question. I think the applicant would be more appropriately able to answer that. I believe they're closed circuit. Yeah.
Okay, and then does this require any special additional insurance to the facility? Has that been evaluated?
It has not. It's not a question, not a land use issue, but it's a good question for the applicant. I would imagine it'd be a good thing to have.
Okay.
Anything else for Laura, and then we'll bring up Judge Peters. Okay, Laura, thank you very much. Judge Peters, welcome.
Mayor Levy, members of the council, good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. We come before you on behalf of the Woodland Park Community Church, specifically the Storehouse Ministry of the Woodland Park Community Church, to seek a permit for a modest proposal for a one-room, one-bedroom temporary emergency shelter. The guests of the church in this facility would be there for up to 7 days. Be one person, one family. There would not be people who are not related to each other. We would assign a team from the church to the guests in our shelter. They would not be left alone. There would be people that would care for them, help them access resources, and in a very short time try to help them move to a better place. The target group for our shelter will be single parents with children. We found that in the operation of the Storehouse facility that a large percentage of the people that come to us for help are single mothers with children. So that will be the target group, the focus of our assistance. We also are going to try to address victims of domestic violence. There is not a shelter for domestic violence victims in Teller County. I've met with the victims advocates in Teller County and spoke with them about this proposal, and I believe those advocates are hopeful that you will approve this so that there will be at least a limited facility for help in that area. We would also like to receive referrals from other helping agencies. We'd like to receive referrals from law enforcement. It may be on a cold winter night that a law enforcement officer late at night may see a car parked in a parking lot and find that a family is living in their car. And we want that officer to call us, to call our on-call person. And we will have somebody get out of bed and meet them at the shelter and try to provide a safe, secure, comfortable place for people to stay. Again, one person, one family, one room, one bath, basement facility. As Ms. Pellegrino indicated, we think we're going to be virtually invisible. This is a basement facility, back entrance, stair entrance. But for the fact that we have to have a public hearing, I don't think people would know that we are there. We have the resources, we have the volunteers, we have the will. We need a permit, and hope that you all will see fit to allow us to do this. We're a church. We're Christians. We believe that God has called us to serve and help people in need in this community. That is who we are and what we're about, and that is what we want to do. I have with me tonight John Holscher, who is an architect, and Chuck Severance, also an architect with our church. And they are here and can answer any questions that you might have concerning the renovations and the requirements for that. Chuck particularly was involved in drawing up the plans I drew up the operational plan. If you have any operational questions, I would be happy to entertain those questions or concerns and try to address them head-on.
Thank you very much. Why don't we call up the architects first in case we have questions for them? And if you gentlemen just state your name and address for the record, I appreciate it.
Chuck Severance, 1231 Walnut Range Road, Woodland Park.
Thank you, sir.
John Holscher, 1305 Kings Crown, Woodland Park.
Thank you, gentlemen. Questions, Carol?
Well, it's back to Councilman Mello's question. Since we have gone to great lengths to telegraph the location and ingress and egress of the facility or the shelter, do you plan on putting in some kind of closed circuit cameras or security cameras? And if so, who will monitor them?
They will not be monitored 24 hours. There will be a camera that will record and videotape anyone coming to the area. If someone does come, perhaps we have a domestic violence situation and someone comes, that person will be on video, and there will be motion sensitive. There will be motion sensitive lights. So a light will come on, that person will be on video, and we may have a sign that says this area is under video surveillance, something to that effect. We also will have an emergency plan in effect. We'll have a button or a switch in the facility that the person there can use to reach immediately the Woodland Park Police Department. I had occasion to walk through the basement with our former police chief and our new police chief, Chief DeYoung, and talk with them about security and the things that we could do and to hear recommendations from them. We also have a church security team, and our church security team has gone through the shelter and made some recommendations. We're going to have protocols for the people working in our office. If something goes wrong, our people are going to be trained and they're going to know what to do ahead of time if a problem arises. And we're serious about security because particularly if we're having domestic violence victims, we need to be careful and cautious. For one family in one room, we can't afford to have full-time security, but we will do the very best we can.
A follow-up question to not so much security, but the screening requirement that we've levied on you in this conditional use permit, in that you're going to ensure that every person that is admitted to the shelter will not be required to be in jail, correctional facility, halfway home, medical treatment facility, clinic, or institutional home, or that they will not be addicted to illicit drugs. How can you possibly...
How can I possibly do that? I'm not really sure about that, except to say we'll do the best that we can. In speaking with former Chief Larson and our current Chief DeYoung, they indicated that they would be willing to do warrant checks for us on the people moving in. So that will be taken care of that way. We also may be able to do kind of background checks that people do for creditors, or go to a source that provides that type of information.
If it's an emergency situation, then where you have to take a family in the middle of the night.
Again, that will be limited. We will have an on-call team that will be there, that will show up, and we'll ask them questions, and we will have a contract that they will sign. And the contract will go over these limitations and ask, do any of these apply to you? Now, I don't know if they will answer those honestly, but that's one way we will try to address it. Also, our team, if the team believes that anything is not right, if they're uncomfortable for any reason bringing those folks into the shelter, they will have authority to say no. And right now what we do when people come and need help is we provide 2 nights in a motel. We're able to do that, and if we turn someone away from the shelter, probably we'll provide 2 nights in a motel and try to avoid having problems arise if our team on the scene senses that there's a problem.
Phil?
Yeah, just in follow-up to the camera question, I guess my question would be, is it under the auspices of a security company, Brinks, ADT, or is it an off-the-shelf Costco camera? There's a huge difference in terms of the visual quality of the cameras between something off the shelf and one that's provided by a security company. And also, the former are generally not admissible in court. if you buy something off the shelf and you're in a business and you catch someone's face on a camera, I am told that the visual quality is so questionable that it's not admissible. But either way, and it's not 24/7 monitor, but it is motion activated. So I get the difference. It's a phase recording that keeps on going over, and you've got a terabyte of information. It works real well. But which is it, if you could tell me?
Well, I really can't answer that yet. We have a brand-new security plan that the church is implementing for our church office. Our security team has made recommendations to the Board of Elders that they have approved, and they're putting in security cameras all around the office, including the basement. And our security person will be responsible for selecting the camera and the type of electronics we're going to use. That's not an area that I have particular expertise, but we're serious about security at the church office, and that will be part of it. I can tell you that your understanding about the video cameras is not entirely accurate. You should actually see the videos in the casinos that are introduced in court and that I've seen many, many times. They're very poor quality, and I can assure you that we will have better quality than the casino pictures that I saw year after year in my courtrooms. Again, there won't be somebody 24 hours sitting and looking at these. They will be reviewed if they need to be reviewed.
So it's an in-house security system?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
But secondly, is there any additional insurance that I'm just curious, that I would think with the increased potential liability of domestic violence people?
Yes, and that is something that when we get to the point where we open, if we can't open, we will be addressing that with our insurance carrier. We've been addressing our insurance carrier with a lot of things lately because our storehouse has been doing new and exciting things that cause concern from time to time, and we have a good carrier, and we're going to have good coverage.
And finally, the team that evaluates people,
Yes.
Are they certified, licensed counselors of any kind? Or I'm just wondering what the qualifications are to evaluate people.
They won't be counselors. They will be volunteers from the church who will go through a training program. We will have one team that will be particularly trained with regard to domestic violence issues, actually going through training with Tessa right now. That will be sensitive to those issues and be very careful about the needs of those particular people. For all of our volunteers at the storehouse, we have regular training. Every month we have a training program, and our volunteers will be included in that. This isn't the first time that we've done this. The church also owns 2 homes. We own 2 mobile homes in 2 different mobile home parks in Teller County. And we have a transitional housing program, and we assign teams from the church of volunteers to help those people. And we spend time with them, help them identify needs and resources and work with them. So we won't be doing this from scratch as though we had never done it before, but this will be the first time it will be a temporary emergency shelter. The people in our transitional housing program are in our homes for up to 12 months. So we have a lot of time with them.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, John?
Pete, yeah, I think this is a wonderful initiative, and I'm happy that the community church has decided to take this step.
I'm happy that we're going to have affordable housing next door, I think. Maybe some of our people in the shelter will be applying for your affordable housing.
Judge, thank you for being here. Just for curiosity and to understand what we're up against, what is the average number of families that you assist each week or each month? I guess what I'm looking for is to show that this is a true need in the community.
If you're talking about emergency housing.
Emergency, well, how many families come to you each week to help ask for assistance?
You know, I can't tell you that off the top of my head. I would say we do a lot of different things. We have a medical lending closet. We provide financial assistance. We cut wood and provide wood for people in
Just
winter for
everything.
wood-burning stoves. We have grief counselors. We do a wide variety of things. And
I guess the question I'll readdress it.
In terms of the need of the housing, about twice a month we provide motel rooms for people that come to us.
Okay.
In talking with the victims' advocates, Jen McKeamy and Angie Trailstad, they indicated that they probably could be sending at least 2 families to us each month. So with their referrals and the people we have, that eats up about 4 weeks a month right off the bat. And I think when we get the word out and other helping agencies and law enforcement know that we're there, I think we're going to be very busy.
Okay, and that was the concern, is that you would have a family already there, and all of a sudden another family comes knocking on the door, and obviously you would put them in a hotel.
That would be intention, yes.
My understanding with reading this is even if they came at 2 in the morning, there would be a button, an emergency button call on the front of the door. Is that correct? And that would call to the police station? How would that work?
Inside the facility, there would be an emergency switcher button of some kind that would go to a service that would then call the dispatch.
Okay, and then a police officer would come out, and then they would contact your team and then work something out.
Well, that's if the person who has already moved in there has a problem, has an emergency. What we want is when the law enforcement officer comes across someone, to call our on-call person. That person will know whether there's availability in the shelter. If there is availability in the shelter, that person will get out of bed, will meet the officer and the family at the shelter and process them in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bob?
I was going to redirect that question because you were answering what happens when somebody's in the building to get the police. This is when they come outside the building to get in.
Correct.
And it's through the police officer referring them to us.
Or another agency.
For full disclosure, I do go to the Woodland Park Community Church. Pete, Chuck, John, Kurt, they're all, I consider them all very good friends. So, but again, I think with what I've heard from the majority of the council, I would support, this is a very good idea, and I appreciate our church doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment from council? Okay, if not, in public hearing, gentlemen, if you'll just stand nearby, we may have some comment from the audience. I know we have one to start with. Steve Jerslow, would you like to come forward?
Thank you, Mayor Levy. I'm Steve Jerslow. I live at 610 Sun Valley Drive here in Woodland Park. I have familiarity with the excellent work that the community church does for Woodland Park and Greater Teller County. They perform an amazing number of services for needy individuals and families throughout the county. Every time I think they can't possibly do more for the community, they go ahead and make a liar out of me, and they just did so again. I have personally visited this proposed apartment. I've eyeballed the surrounding areas, the neighborhoods, how close buildings are, etc. And not in the detail that our planning department did, but just from a commonsensical layperson standpoint. And I think even if I lived the 240 feet away or the 320 feet away, I doubt seriously that I would notice any appreciable difference in traffic, noise, commotion, or anything like that. I think this is an outstanding idea. It's a need whose time has come. I'm very grateful that the community church is stepping up to the challenge to try to meet the need, and I personally support the initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to comment on item 9C? Mr. Spartans, come on up. Would you state your name and address, please, Arnie?
Mr. Mayor, my name is Arnie Spartans. I live at 2621 Vista Glen Court. So it's great. Clearly, there is definitely a need here, so it's great to see the initiative. I've just got two quick questions and maybe an answer for. Being in a basement, making sure, I think we already heard that question on the egress. Fire safety obviously would be a key question. So Laura indicated they may use a hot plate. And so is a hot plate going to be something that would be allowed to be used down there or not, would be one question. And the second question would be, is smoking allowed, in the residence too? Thank you.
Good question.
No smoking facility. What we intend to have is a refrigerator and a microwave oven.
Just Step to the microphone.
So what we intend to have is a refrigerator and a microwave oven right now, and it will be a no smoking facility. It will be dog friendly, though. We'll have a little vestibule where we keep dogs.
And cats.
No, it's not all cats.
Just kidding.
Any other comments from the audience this evening? Young lady, come step forward and give us your name and address, if you would, please.
Well, I thank you for the young lady comment. I'm Angie Trelstad. I'm the Teller County Confidential Victim Advocate for Tessa, 166 East Bennett Avenue, Cripple Creek, Colorado. I just wanted to say that I have had clients who have been in the transitional housing with Judge Pete and the Woodland Park Community Church. They're fantastic because they don't just work with them on their immediate need for security or housing, etc. They help them work on their soul. And I just would like to tell you how much we need this and what a great job they would do.
Thank you very much. Anybody else before we move forward? I'll just reiterate, really appreciate what you're trying to do for the community. Seems very well thought out, and clearly had all our questions answered, and we appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and we will move forward. Okay, Council, if you don't have Bob.
Yeah, I move to approve ordinance number 1248 for a conditional use permit by the Woodland Park Community Church in the Community Commercial District for a change from the use from office to lodging to allow for the conversion of the basement of this office unit into a temporary shelter in Lot 4, Jamestown Square.
Thank you.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Suzanne?
Sawyer?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Levy?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Mella?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. Thanks again, gentlemen, for being here. Okay, we're going to move on to new business, and item number 10A to approve resolution 795, and Suzanne.
Thank you, Mayor Levy and Council. This evening, I'd like to present Resolution 795, recognizing Colorado Cities and Towns Week, which is an event sponsored by CML, the Colorado Municipal League. It's an opportunity for municipalities to connect with residents and acknowledge its outstanding employees and volunteers while reminding residents about their vital services that are provided to them by the city. Mayor Levy, will you please read the resolution into the record?
I would love to. Thank you, Suzanne. Recognizing Colorado Cities and Towns Week, September 14th through 20th, 2015, and encouraging all citizens to support the celebration and corresponding activities. Whereas municipal government is the government closest to most citizens and the one with the most direct daily impact upon its residents. And whereas municipal government is administered for and by its citizens and is dependent upon public commitment to and understanding of its many responsibilities. And whereas municipal government officials, volunteers, and employees share the responsibility to pass along their understanding of public services and their benefits. And whereas Colorado Cities and Towns Week is a very important time to recognize the important role played by municipal government in our lives. And whereas the Colorado Municipal League's member cities and towns have joined together to teach students and other citizens about municipal government through a variety of different projects and information. And whereas Colorado Cities and Towns Week offers an important opportunity to convey to all the citizens of Colorado that they can shape and influence government through their civic involvement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Woodland Park encourages all citizens, municipal government, elected officials, and employees to do everything possible to ensure that this week is recognized and celebrated accordingly. Section 2, that the City of Woodland Park supports and encourages all municipal governments to actively participate in Colorado Cities and Towns Week, passed and adopted this third day of September 2015. Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, we'll move on to 10B and Aaron.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this item, Resolution 796, has been withdrawn from the agenda for the reasons I explained earlier, and no council action is necessary.
Thank you very much. That said, we'll move on to item number 11 of public comment, and Deb Miller. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, Mayor. Couple things I wanted, first of all, I want to say to the council, thank you on the passage of the CUP for the homeless shelter. Within the visitor center and the chamber, while not often, we do have people who come in who are in need of assistance, and this is another avenue that we will be able to send and have people find some assistance and help. So thank you for that. My original reason to come up and speak to you tonight, it's my privilege, all of you should have received your letter of invitation to attend our 18th annual Oktoberfest Plus. We'd love for all of you to show up on Saturday, September 19th, a little before 11 o'clock, and join with us and the general manager of the CCMV Gold Mine and Teller County Commissioners who are going to be there to help us tap the keg, get us started for a 2-week, Sue would just quit, trust me, a 2-day festival that brings in a little over 5,000 people in 2 days. It's a family-friendly event. We're thrilled about it. We're thrilled also about the program that City Manager Buttery started several years ago with our Beer for Boots program. We had the chance recently to be down in Fort Carson and talk with all the soldiers about coming up and bringing their families, and it's just a wonderful thing to help promote and just talk about our communities. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. September 19th and 20th. It's 11 to 6 both days. It's a wonderful time. If you have a little extra time, we could always use volunteers to help as well, so you could just contact me at the chamber. But again, we're looking forward to another spectacular year, and I have it on good authority through AccuWeather and through dryday.com that we are going to have 2 days of 70 degree during the day and 57 at night, so we know everything's going to be great. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks very much. Questions?
Thank you.
Okay, next I've got Steve Gerslow. Do you have something else, Mr. Gerslow?
Yes, I do. Very quick.
Very quickly, you said.
Yes, I did. I'm representing just myself, not any of the boards I'm members of. I just wanted to personally and publicly thank David Buttery for his extraordinary efforts on behalf of the citizens of Woodland Park. He has a very, very full plate right now. In addition to all of his normal responsibilities, he's got 3 major projects going on at one time. I think David's dedication to duty, his integrity, and his competence are absolutely superb, and I wanted to thank him for his efforts. I know that under his leadership, all 3 projects will come in, they will be completed, they will be completed in a proper fashion, and within all available resources that the city has. So David, thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Steve, but you know that I have 83 wonderful staff members and about 80 volunteers that help me accomplish those things. So I appreciate the comments, but I must share the accolades with 162 other people.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that include council?
Yes. So maybe I should say 182 no.
Steve, thanks very much. Appreciate your comments. Okay, unless there are any other comments, we will move on to reports. And Mayor's report, I've just got a few announcements for you today. Tomorrow and next Friday, the 4th and 11th of September, Farmers Market behind Vector Bank and the Catholic Church from 7 a.m. to 1 o'clock. This Saturday, September 5th, Native American Day at the Dinosaur Resource Center, 10 to 3:30, food, dancers, crafts, and it is a free event. Also Saturday, I'm adding this to your list. Saturday, the Woodland Park baseball team will entertain and sponsor a baseball tournament at Panther Field, and we'll have 4 teams participating on Saturday and on Monday. So if you can come to Panther Field, I don't know what the weather's supposed to be. I have to check with Deb, but I think it's supposed to be pretty good. The Woodland Park team will play at 9 o'clock and 2:15 on Saturday, and 9 o'clock and 11:30 on Monday. And we will have refreshments, hot dogs, and what's better than spending a great day at the ballpark eating a hot dog. So if any of you are inclined, it'll be a great event. Friday, September 11th, Parks and Rec and Rob and Pasley host Canvas and Corks, art and socializing, and call 687-5225 for details. September 12th, Woodland Music Series hosts Classic Rock at the Pavilion on the Green. It starts at 11 o'clock, and that is a free concert. Also September 12th, 24th Annual Cruise Above the Clouds in downtown Woodland Park. Downtown Woodland Park, who's going to be?
They're still going to be in the area between Memorial Park and the Cultural Center, utilizing those streets. Frankly, I'm not sure where they're intending to have their headquarters. I'm not sure if it's at the Midland Pavilion. I'm looking in the audience to see if anyone knows. But I do know they intend to use the same street network that they've used in the past.
Thanks. I've lived here for a long time. This is the 24th annual. Last year was the first time that I attended, and it's really a great event. So I would just encourage you, whether you love cars or not, just a lot of people and some obviously great cars there. But think about it for next Saturday. Also Saturday, September 12th, the citywide garage sale at the high school parking lot from 7 to 2. And you can call 687-3900 for information. And one last thing for next Saturday, the 12th, movie Above the Clouds at the Midland Pavilion. It's a family-friendly movie that starts at sunset, which is now about 7:15, and free entry, popcorn and soda, and the kids love that event. And last but not least, Tuesday, September 15th, Chamber Business After Hours, hosted this month by Factory Direct Flooring, and that's from 5:30 to 7. And that's all the announcements I have. Council reports. Carol.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The Charter Review Committee met again last evening here in City Hall, and I want to publicly thank the council members who are part of that committee and our at-large committee members, as well as our city attorney and Suzanne. Thank you so much for your support on that. Our plan at this point is to wrap up our review probably at the end of October, and we'll come before the council possibly in a work session in order to explain the initiatives that we will recommend going to the ballot next year, and allow the council to ask us questions and make recommendations in a work session, and then bring it before the council then as an ordinance prior to the election. It was a good meeting last night. The only thing that was kind of odd, we had a great spread of cookies and brownies that came from the Eat This, Not That lunch and learn session. I'm assuming we got the not that pile, but they were good. And our next meeting is on the 14th of October, which is a Wednesday night, which will allow us again to have our city attorney in attendance because it will be the night before a council meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else? Council Ken.
Well, it might seem a little early, but this is September, lighter side of Christmas parade, believe it or not. You'll start hearing people requesting people get involved, both as volunteers and donations, both as businesses and individuals. So I know our local Kiwanis Club is involved in that, as well as many other people. So it's a great event, so keep that in mind and think about donating. Thank you.
Christmas will be here before you know it.
Yeah.
Anybody else know?
Since you're promoting baseball, I'll go ahead and promote the football team plays tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Woodland Park High School. Be there. Support your team.
Yeah, against Rampart. Thanks for
That's right, my old alma mater.
There you go.
I graduated Rampart, but I will be going for Woodland Park.
Anybody else? That's it. Okay, thank you, council. Aaron?
I have nothing.
You have nothing? Mr. Perry?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Wally has a quick presentation, then I have a request of council. Wally?
Thank you, David. Good evening, Mayor Levy and council. Earlier this evening, I placed in front of you a copy of the 2016 budget calendar for your review and any questions you have on it. There's no surprises this year. It basically follows the same format as prior years. We've received our preliminary property tax assessed values from the county assessor. This gives us a starting point to project property tax revenues for both the city and the DDA. The final assessed values aren't available until the first week of December. Looking back at the last 2-3 years, it's been around the 3rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere in around about that point. I will point out just a couple of dates. On October 9th, the draft of the budget will be sent out to you in your packets, and between that date and the next council meeting, which is on the 15th, there will be an open date there for a council work session to discuss anything on the budget, if that's required. That is certainly up to council. Please let us know your pleasure on that. As far as presentation and review of the budget for the public, that'll take place over 2 meetings, October 15th and November 5th, with the goal of having public hearing and final reading of the budget appropriation ordinance on the 3rd of December. The meeting on the 17th of December, council meeting on the 17th of December, is also available to finalize the budget if it cannot be done at the prior meeting. Is there any questions I could answer for you?
Refresh my memory, it has to be finalized by?
December 15th, you have to certify your mill levy has to be certified by December 15th.
Yes. The mill levy is certified on the meeting on the 19th.
15th. Well, it's the 17th. Anybody else? Wally, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you. Council, I would like to ask you to resume our executive session for just about 10 minutes after following the adjournment of this meeting.
Thank you, sir. If there's nothing else, I'm going to need a motion, please, to return to executive session pursuant to CRS Section 24-6-402, parent subsection 4, parent A, for discussion related to the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of any real, personal, or other property interests, and parent 2, subsection parent 4, parent E, to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators, all related to real property acquisition for the Aquatic Center and Metro Bank easement. Have a motion?
So moved.
Please, a second.
Second.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Harvey. Yes. Levy.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Mella.
Yes.
Sawyer.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you, Suzanne. We will adjourn upstairs, and thank you all for being here.